From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another day as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. And Wally, certainly there's plenty for us to chew on, but I think we have to take our first bite out of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have reached the second round of the playoffs, taking on Steph, Jimmy Buckets, Draymond, and the Golden State Warriors. And boy, there sure is a lot of excitement and buzz with the Timberwolves right now in this market. I think they own the town.
Well, they do. I mean, with everything else that's going on or not going on, I mean, it's hard not to focus on the Wolves. They were, I don't know if you want to use the word dominant, but they took the Lakers out in 5. And, we'll see how far this thing goes. I think they have to at least make it to the Western Conference Finals. That's where they went last year. They lost in 5 to Dallas last year. If they don't win this series somehow, I think that it's a step backwards, clearly. I mean, you made it to the Western Conference Finals. I know you have said, and you throw you under the bus here, you said if they don't make it to the finals, then it's a bust.
Well, I mean,
or the trade's a bust, at least.
If you believe in the process that we've heard over the decades with the NBA, that, you take your steps incrementally, then you finally break through.
Right.
I think, anything short of the NBA Finals would be a disappointment. I think this team has the talent to get there, but will they? We'll see. There's some very other good teams out there. And the thing that makes it also interesting, in my opinion, on a parallel path, you have Cat and the New York Knicks also trying to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So we can also grade this trade when it all the dust settles.
Yeah, well, and a lot of Game 1 upsets in this second round.
Yeah.
So we shall see what happens. Well, I don't think it was an upset that your Wild lost in the first round. As a matter of fact, it seems to happen all the time. I believe it has happened, 8 or 9 straight times?
Yeah,
they haven't made it out of the first round in 10 years.
They're the one-and-done Kings now.
Yeah.
Forget about that Twins 18-game playoff losing streak that was a North American pro sports record. Now the Wild own the one-and-done title. So I don't know if Melvin Carter's going to throw a parade for him over that.
Oh, boy.
But you said that, Vegas was favored, and they were, and they certainly had the higher seed. But let's not forget Minnesota was up 2-1 in this series.
were.
And it went to overtime
twice,
and then the final game was a 1-goal defeat, Vegas narrowly escaping. I think Minnesota skated, right with Vegas. They may have outplayed them a bit, but the Vegas Golden Knights know how to win. Minnesota doesn't yet. So this is a huge offseason for the Wild.
Well, they're going to try and extend Kaprizov. That's got to be number 1 on the list. And they've got money now. The Suter Parisi thing is off the books once this season is officially over. So they got to get busy. Billy Guerin's got his work cut out for him. No more excuses.
No.
Right? I mean, they have some pieces, obviously. I think that Gustafsson was pretty good in the nets this year. I think that he played well enough for them to make some kind of a run if they had a few more pieces. Fair enough?
I agree with that. And they're going to have to find a way to get another goalie because Marc-Andre Fleury is, the next time we see him will be in the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto more than likely. So,
although he is going to play for Team Canada in the World Championships coming up. So.
That's good for him.
He just doesn't want to. No. I heard him say, he said, it's hard to do this and to walk away. Yeah. It's really strange.
And the guy gets universal love and respect. Right. We were there when the Golden Knights eliminated Minnesota in that Game 6, and in hockey the tradition is everybody shakes hands after the series is over, and and then Wild waited for Marc-Andre Fleury to kind of do a little victory lap, and I don't think he wanted to do it. They were eliminated. The fans were very gracious. The team of 19,000, the Wild flocked, and then off they went into the night knowing that, hey, we're one and done again. But the thing is, you're right, no more excuses. The Ryan Suter and Zach Parise deals, I think we loved them at the time. They wound up being a millstone around this hockey team for many years. In the hard cap NHL, the Minnesota Wild finally have some money to spend, and they need to spend it wisely, and they have to lock up Kirill.
Yeah, there's no question. That's got to be goals number 1, 2, and 3. Lock up Kirill Kaprizov long term, and then get as many pieces around him as you possibly can here over the next year or two anyway. So
yeah.
All right. Okay, we need to take a break. When we return, We're going to talk some gymnastics. A local star made it all the way to the top in college.
Yeah, talk about sticking the landing. Gymnastics coming up here on 10K Takes your vaulting ticket.
Seeing clearly matters. Being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
In Lakeville, Minnesota, dozens of meeting venues are ready to host your next corporate event, banquet, and holiday party. Lakeville has unique conference facilities, a variety of hotels, an abundance of team-building options, and dining that are sure to impress. For suggestions that suit your needs, please call the Lakeville Convention and Visitors Bureau at 952-469-2020 or go to visitlakeville.org. Lakeville, we mean business.
When you see somebody who's a great skater, you can see in their individual rhythm. My name is Christian Grunna. I am owner, head coach, operator, main instructor for Grunna Power Skating. We had a history of not just speed skating, but auto racing in our family, so we're always interested in being fast. I want every player that comes my way to develop their skills, but also grow confidence in themselves as a human being.
Welcome back. We are Minnesota Scores 10,000 Takes, and there's a young lady who went to high school in Blaine not that long ago. As a matter of fact, she spent 1 year at the University of Oklahoma, and she is a member of the gymnastics team that won the national championship. How do you, boy, I tell you what.
Talk about sticking the landing.
Exactly. Elle Mueller joins us now from Oklahoma. Elle, tell us about this fantastic run of yours from Blaine to Oklahoma and a national championship in your freshman year. Tell us what it was like.
It was crazy. It was a whirlwind. It helped to have coaches there that were from Minnesota. The head coaches, they're from Minnesota, so they brought some Minnesota to me. But it was a wild ride, and it was a lot of growing and a lot of personal learning, but it was a lot of fun.
All right, I know you have a teammate from White Bear Lake. As you mentioned, you have coaches with Minnesota ties, and Suni Lee, of course, is a legend already. I mean, is she part of your inspiration? Simone Biles? What got you into gymnastics?
Yeah. Honestly, it started when I was like 2.5 and my mom just needed to get me out of the house. And then it just kind of progressed from there. I mean, I was around, Maggie Nichols, who also went here, and Olivia Troutman, who went here. So they were big inspirations. But, all those girls who went to the Olympics were definitely my inspirations for sure.
What is your strongest part of the gymnastics? Where do you excel?
Oh, gosh, I would say floor. It's also one of my favorites.
That works out then.
Yes, it works out. Yeah.
So what? And tell me why that. Why is that then? Why do you like floor?
You can be very expressive on floor, and you can really come into your own and share your personality. So you can do that a little bit on beam, but you can't really do that on the others. So you can really own the equipment. Yeah.
How competitive is gymnastics? And let's go all the way back to when you were with the Twin City Twisters. I know they're a prominent organization, and they start very young. So it's hyper competitive, and you got to put a lot of work in, don't you?
Yes. I mean, it's competitive, like on the competition floor and in our gyms. We all are very competitive with each other, but then it's also a healthy competition. We just push each other because we know the heights that we can reach. And yeah, I mean, we all have that competitive spirit and we all want to win. So I think that's why we're in it in the first place.
You mentioned that there are some coaches who are from Minnesota. Part of the reason that you ended up at Oklahoma. Was there any thought, did you ever have any thought of going to the University of Minnesota? They have a fairly strong program as well.
They do. They have a really strong program. They did really good this year. I actually took an unofficial visit there and toured the campus, saw the gym, saw what they were going to do with the gym, saw what they were going to do with the program. But ultimately, when I stepped on campus at Oklahoma, it just felt right and it felt like home.
So you've really exploded onto the scene, and the sky is the limit for you. And now there's NIL. Is that part of the equation? And what about the Olympics in Los Angeles in 2028?
Oh gosh, right now I don't know about Olympics. But yeah, no, NIL, it's definitely very prominent. It is prominent here, but I think it's very, it can be a leading factor in other programs. We take school gymnastics and then, your recovering stuff and then NIL. I haven't had you can look at my social media. I haven't had very many deals, but I'm okay with that. I need to get settled in and have a good freshman year, and maybe I'll look more into it.
Tell me about balancing school and your education with gymnastics, because being a high school gymnast, that's one thing, but being a college gymnast, it's basically any varsity sport. It's a job, right?
Yeah. So in high school, I trained probably 30 hours a week, but I did online school. So I was able to go to the gym anytime. I could do school anywhere. Here, it's a lot different. You're in the classroom, you're doing your schoolwork. But everyone on the team is doing that. And so everyone's going through the same thing. And you have seniors on the team, you have fifth years, and so they kind of help you get through your schoolwork. They help you balance it, but also the coaches know that you have school to do. KJ does a really good job of that, not letting us fall behind. She checks our grades and just makes sure that we stay on track.
And I saw in a local article that you said once you went to Oklahoma, Norman, that you knew this was the school for you. What was it about Boomer Sooner that made you say, I'm coming to school here?
I always kind of grew up around the idea of a gymnastics scholarship and having all those girls going to OU, having them be my inspirations. I was like, okay, that's the school I want to be at. And then meeting with KJ and being with the girls and being on campus, it just really solidified that home feeling that I wanted to feel, and my home away from home.
Do you have, Eric mentioned, the 2028 Olympics, but do you have goals that you have set for yourself, going forward, whether it's just next season or, throughout your college career? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so it's not, for me personally, I want to contribute to the team as much as I can. Our ultimate goal is to win national championship. So that's always in the back of our mind. But again, we have a very competitive team. And so, competing for the spots so that you can get in lineup. That's always a goal. You always want to get in lineup, or you want to be seventh or eighth, just to always be in consideration. And so I think my goal this year is to be in every single lineup at least a couple times and contribute to the team there. But overall, stay in vault and floor.
And Oklahoma's been strong in a lot of sports for decades. Have you felt the presence of football? I mean, this is basically the South. What's a Sooner game like in football in the fall?
Yeah, it's pretty wild, especially coming to the SEC and seeing that the football field is quite literally a hop skip away from my dorm. So I was able to, wake up and see them training right outside my window at 7 a.m. So, that kind of got me going and got me wanting to work hard. But the atmosphere is really cool and really intense, but it's awesome.
You mentioned, how important the team aspect of what you're doing is. How do you separate that in a sport that is, so individualistic in, what you're doing and how you're performing and your skills? How do you separate the team from the individual?
Yeah, I would say, because doing it in high school, you're kind of doing it for yourself. And so you can have less pressure on yourself, but when you're doing it for the team, you have more pressure because you're doing it for more people than just yourself. And so having to balance that and finding the right balance of what you need to do, but also doing what you need to do for the team was a difficult balance at first. But I feel like I started to figure it out definitely towards the end. But yeah, it's just more pressure than what you're used to.
So, I mean, growing up in Ham Lake, going to high school at Blaine, as a youngster, is this what you pictured? Big time gymnastics and then winning a title?
It definitely was what I wanted and what I aspired to do, but I didn't really know if it could ever come true. Like in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, like I know I'm good, but holy cow, Oklahoma, like that's crazy. But now that I'm here, it just solidifies that belief in myself. Yeah.
Well, Elle, we appreciate you spending time with us. We wish you the best of luck in your upcoming seasons at the University of Oklahoma, and bring home more of that gold, I guess.
Heck yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Boomer Sooner.
Boomer Sooner.
She
Thank
is
you.
Elle Mueller here on 10,000 Takes. We'll be back with more after this time out. Stay with us.
Great touchdown. Can I have a quick word with you? You are in jeopardy of failing my class. Change this or no more football.
If you want to be a great athlete, you have to study too.
I do want to play. I saw an ad on social media about reading out loud literacy program. Maybe they can help.
You did it.
When you read, you know. According to the 2021 to 2022 Minnesota Comprehensive Assessments, just 31% of black students are proficient in reading, compared to 59% of white students. In addition, just 20% of black students are proficient in math, in comparison to 54% of their white counterparts. The more you read, the more you know. Reading out loud literacy can help you. Visit llcooljorg.com for more information. Reading Out Loud Literacy is sponsored by City of Minneapolis Community Trauma Response Fund.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
When you see somebody who's a great skater, you can see in their individual rhythm. My name is Christian Grunna. I am owner, head coach, operator, main instructor for Grunna Power Skating. We had a history of not just speed skating, but auto racing in our family, so we're always interested in being fast. I want every player that comes my way to develop their skills, but also grow confidence in themselves as a human being.
And we are. Minnesota scores 10,000 takes. And it sounds like the Vikings want more of your money for the upkeep of U.S. Bank Stadium. Now, they just took how much? What, $83 million to build that barrier around the stadium?
The fortress.
So it's easier to get into the Kremlin right now, I believe, than it is to get into U.S. Bank Stadium. So the People's Stadium, not exactly accessible. But now they want apparently another $20 million a year for upkeep for at least the next 9 years. And they're saying it's a $300 million is the grand total they need. So what in the world is going on over there?
Yeah, that's a lot of gumption, in my opinion. I mean, my goodness, the House of Noise is not even 10 years old. I realize that these arenas and stadiums tend to age in dog years. And the minute you put them up, everybody says, hey, it's time to get a new one or we got to renovate it. But I think this is a big wish for the Minnesota Vikings, who, oh, by the way, are owned by a billionaire. I think they
That's
can,
the rumor.
they can handle this, the Wilf family. And then you factor that in with the Minnesota Wild, who've had to shrink down their demands
That's
for
right.
the X. The Saints want CHS Field upgrades, and I'll tell you what, in the on-deck circle are waiting by the scorers
Your
table,
Timberwolves.
the Minnesota Timberwolves. And boy, I can't wait to hear what A-Rod and Mark Lurie want, because I'm sure it's a brand new playpen. And I happen to think Target Center now, the fact that it's one of the older buildings in the NBA, that gives it that charm and that quirkiness, and it turns it into a hostile situation. I mean, ask people connected with the Golden State Warriors, their opponent, when they left Oracle in Oakland. I mean, that was kind of like their version of the barn, right?
Right.
And then they jump over the Bay Bridge to the Chase Center in San Francisco.
Very corporate.
Sterile, antiseptic. You know, the ticket prices went up. And by the way, if the Vikings get this money, I don't think they're going to lower ticket prices.
Oh, not for a minute. Don't forget they have those seat licenses and all that other baloney that, boy, they just keep tacking it on one right after the other. And the sad part is the sheep keep paying it, baby. They keep paying it.
I don't play the pull tabs, so thank goodness I won't get stuck with that tab. But, yeah, they'll find a way to get it.
Yeah, they're like you say, they want $20 million a year. And I think that's minimum. They're probably going to need more if they want to get this thing 300
What do they
million.
want to do to the place?
I don't know. They already put the fence up. So what else they got to do?
Can you put the fence up and take the roof off?
Well, and here's the other thing, and you mentioned about the Wild. The Wild dumbed theirs down, along with Mayor Carter. I mean, the city's in on this one too. Oh, by the way, the city of St. Paul. So, they want these upgrades to the XL Energy Center, which won't be the XL Energy Center next year. Their contract for naming rights is over. So we'll see what the new name will be when the X hosts the Wild next season.
The Wild and the city of St. Paul and the owner, Craig Leopold, they were trying to fleece us. And, I know that not all of our viewers are able to go see Wild games for various reasons. Sticker shock would be one.
Well, you're calling it the dump.
Well, I mean, we go, and every time I walk in there, it's a gorgeous arena. I was there last week, so are you. And they're acting like it is the dump. What, was Waste Management going to get the naming rights? I mean, my goodness, there's nothing wrong with the X. I just don't get it. And the battery that Craig Leopold wants, like the Braves and Cardinals have in Major League Baseball, I think that's gone. All that revenue around the X will go to the folks running those hotels. And what's the new restaurant? The Zamboni?
Well, that's right across the street. Yeah, that's been there a couple of years now. You probably had your blinders on when you went by it. But, yeah, I mean, all those restaurants on West 7th Street, that's what the owners want now. Like Craig Leopold, he wants people, instead of going down to Casetas and Zambonis and Tom Reed's, he wants you to stay right inside the building and spend all your money there.
And don't forget the Timberwolves, I think, are in an ideal spot, the Warehouse District. There's built-in entertainment, bars and restaurants right there within walking distance of their arena. But you know that A-Rod and Mark Lurie and Michael Bloomberg, who's behind the scenes, worth billions upon billions, and they have a Google mogul in there as well. They're going to want to go somewhere else to create their own battery. Well, good luck. Yeah. And you got the money, do it yourself.
And, of course, as you said, the Vikings, they want money too. All right, more to come. Takes of the day up next. We're watching 10,000 Takes. Stay with us.
Finding the ideal place to stay is important for business travelers. Lakeville, Minnesota is conveniently located off I-35, just south of the Twin Cities, with a variety of hotel choices. Lakeville offers convenient amenities such as shopping, walking trails, golf, and more. Our unique meeting spaces, historic downtown, live music, and over 60 dining options are sure to impress. Book your next stay in Lakeville and experience convenience, comfort, and quality. Find your perfect hotel at visitlakeville.org.
Wally and Eric from 10,000 Takes here in the land of lakes. And if you want sports of all sorts, check us out. We cover all the bases, all the teams in the great state of Minnesota.
Vikings, Twins, Wild, Gophers, Timberwolves, Loons, you name it, we do it. Late night Saturday night on Fox 9 Plus and on the Fox local app.
Seeing clearly matters. being seen matters more. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Dream jobs can feel out of reach when reading is a challenge.
Literacy will literally make sense of the things you see. Reading out loud, literacy will literally make sense of the things you see. Minnesota is approaching.
According to literacyactionnetwork.org, Minnesota is approaching a worker shortage due to an aging and retiring workforce and the growing skill needs of employers resulting from globalization and technological change. As it stands, Minnesota's adult workforce will not be able to accommodate the employee needs of employers. Nearly 1 in 5 Minnesotans over age 25 do not have a high school diploma, and many who do still lack the basic skills necessary for employment. Learning to read is fun and essential. Reading Out Loud Literacy is sponsored by City of Minneapolis Community Trauma Response Fund.
10K Takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. Big shout out to the viewers in the Twin Ports. You're in the Twin Cities, up and down that I-35 corridor. Mm-hmm. And they are soon going to learn what your mood is. Demanding, angry, happy, sarcastic. What might that be?
What might it be this time around? I don't know if you're familiar at all with the television program Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Well, he did a segment not too long ago where he was criticizing minor league baseball teams and their mascots and their nicknames. And he picked on your St. Paul Saints.
Oh, boy.
He's basically saying St. Paul Saints, not very imaginative. Compare that to like the Mighty Muscles, the Fort Myers team that the Twins have an affiliate down in Florida with. But so the Saints got on social media and threw it out to John Oliver and said, okay, we'll take your dare and we'll take a rebrand. So can you imagine? What are they going to call this new club? What will John Oliver... Hey, the ball is in your court, John Oliver. What are you going to rename the St. Paul Saints? Are they going to be the St. Paul Suds because of all the beer over there? Are they going to be the St. Paul Pigs because of their mascot, Madonna, which has been their mascot for about 20 years now? What will it be?
Yeah, St. Paul Capitals? I don't know.
Oh, boy, John Oliver would be on you, too, if that's what they renamed them.
Well, let's see what the mood meter says. Oh, you're a sarcastic Sam. Well, they could just be Pig's Eye. That was the original name of St. Paul. They do have uniforms that say Pig's Eye.
Well, they should just be the Pigs then, the St. Paul Pigs.
Fair enough.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
That's John Oliver's job.
Yeah.
And the Saints said, go for it.
Ball in your court, John.
Yes.
Okay, well, my take of the day, let's keep it in St. Paul.
All right.
The Midway specifically. I think the Minnesota United Soccer Club is probably the one organization not asking for a handout to fix up their venue. Of course, the owner, Bill McGuire, paid for it with his own cash. Good for Bill. Got a few tax breaks, but who cares? That Midway was a dump. They're sprucing it up now. But the reason I'm bringing it up, because so much going on with the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Wild had their one-and-done annual run in the NHL playoffs.
True.
The Twins are playing, and the Minnesota Vikings are always in the news cycle. Let's not forget, Saturday, Lionel Messi, the global icon of soccer, now with Inter Miami, makes an appearance in Minnesota, and you know it's going to be packed at Allianz Field. I just hope, and at the time of this recording, I've heard nothing to indicate he's not going to play. But I hope there's no load management that's going to take place for Lionel Messi and Inter Miami. He's had some injuries this year. He's missed some matches. And dare I say it, it might be too hot for him.
Wow.
We got a Miami heat wave going on here.
Yeah, so no home field advantage or home pitch advantage with the weather. Oh, well.
But, hey, soccer fans, enjoy. And hopefully Messi will be on the pitch.
And not score.
Yeah. I think he should score. But
okay.
Hey. All right, we're going to say goodbye. Thanks for tuning us in. We are 10K Takes, your sports ticket.